What if I told you that the reason why you sabotage your relationships, procrastinate on your dreams, or overwork yourself is not because there is something wrong with you, but because there is a part of you that wants to protect you from something? Welcome to the Connection Catalyst podcast, episode number 8, in which we're going to talk about parts integration. In other words, parts work. What is it? It's a therapeutic approach that assumes that our psyche is consistent of different parts of us. So it's not like our consciousness is one, but there are different aspects of us, different parts of our subconscious mind that we are the amalgamation of. I will give you an example of how these parts can be created so that you understand what I mean. So, for example, in childhood, I'm a woman, and of course, when I'm a little girl, I'm not supposed to get angry. So, everyone in my family is having this idea that when little girl gets angry, this is not a good girl and it's naughty and you're not supposed to do that. So, one day, my sister takes away my favorite toy and destroys it. So obviously I'm pissed, right, as a little kid. But then, because I have this idea from the family that being angry is wrong, and maybe I get angry, and then maybe my mom shouts at me because I'm not supposed to get angry, and she tells me good girls are not getting angry, then I'm going to suppress the part of me that got angry and adopt as a different part of me the part that is like my mother. So this part will become my inner critic in this case. So I will have one part of me that is my pissed off inner child, and one part of me that is my inner mother inside of me. So I'm going to copy paste her into myself. Why? Because the next time I'm going to be about to get angry, then the part of me that is my inner mother can prevent me from that and go straight into this protector that will prevent me from the withdrawal of their love and approval that would otherwise happen if I didn't have this part. Because kids really want approval and love from their parents. If they don't, they feel like they can't survive because we are relationally dependent. So in this scenario, if I kept being angry rather than adopting my mother's part that's going to protect me from the love withdrawal, then I might lose the connection and I might fear that I'm not going to be alive anymore. Because if I'm like 3 years old, right, I can't feed myself, I can't go and hunt or whatever. So I'm completely dependent on my mother. And if she tells me that being angry is wrong, then I can't do that. So I'm suppressing this part of me, the vulnerable part of me that has some emotional charge, and I'm covering it up with a protector part that is going to be like my mother that will become in further life my inner critic, for example, and the part of me that actually doesn't allow me to feel all the negative emotions because it's wrong, quote unquote. So that's how the parts are created. In the moment of trauma, our consciousness splits into usually the vulnerable part and the protector part. And oftentimes, this vulnerable part is the feminine part, more emotional, more creative, more intuitive, and so on. And this other part, the protector part, is usually logical. We need to get shit done, masculine energy part. And it also connects to different hemispheres of the brain. So in this approach, in parts work, we are resolving the conflict between one and the other part, the resistance that is between them, because usually what happens is one part wants that, one part wants this, right? So in this case, one part wants to feel angry because it's the emotion that is present and it's real. And then the other part doesn't because it's unsafe. I'm going to lose my mother's love if I do that, right? So in this case, we have also the disconnection between the right and left hemisphere, because the right hemisphere is more feminine, is more creative, as I mentioned, and so on. And the left hemisphere is more masculine. So it's representative of these parts. And in the modality that I also practice called Psych K, which is based on creating the whole brain state, so balancing the left and right hemisphere together to release the barrier between them and release resistance that we have towards a specific belief or specific emotion, it's also based on the same idea that we have the lack of connection in our neurological system between right and left hemisphere. So both with parts work and with Psyche, we can actually connect these hemispheres and create more of a whole brain state where we operate based on the whole potential of our brain rather than being disconnected in our hemispheres in some ways because of the resistance that we hold towards specific situations, behaviors, emotions, and so on. So that's why, because we had a lot of childhood events in our life, right, that made us feel like we can't be who we want to be, like men don't cry or other bullshit, right? Then we have multiple of these parts inside of us. And if we, for example, want to manifest something in our life, but it's not happening, that means that there is a part of us or multiple of them that are resistant to this idea. For instance, I would like to make more money. But when I was young, I was told that all the rich people are super bad and they are just abusing people and, they are wrong and devil and so on. So then I want to have the luxury, and one part of me wants it, especially in my adulthood now that I can make more money and I'm, healthy and whatever, I can do that. But then this childhood self that was told that rich people are evil is going to prevent us from getting richer, right? And this is only one example. So this part will sabotage, will always come up with excuses why it's not the right time now to start this business or whatever. But then when we work on that part, we might discover that there's another part if we go into parts work next time. So we might see, okay, if I have more money, then I have more responsibility. And I might need to work through the fear of responsibility. So one part of me that wants to make money and one part of me that doesn't. So this is how we approach it. If we want to manifest something, could be a relationship, for example. I want a relationship, but then I don't have it. So that means that there is a part of me who doesn't actually want it. There is a resistance inside. And it could be like, okay, I did parts work the other day for balancing the masculine and feminine inside in a way where one part of me that was more feminine actually hated men. So how can I be a vibrational match to a man who's going to take care of me and I'm going to love if there is a part in me that hates them and doesn't want them at all in my life, right? Because I don't trust them and so on. So by going deeper and deeper into all these onion layers, quote unquote, of our psyche and uncovering it and getting to know the parts, we're actually getting more in alignment with who we really are, with our truth, our essence, but also we are stopping the sabotage, even though it's not really self-sabotage that's happening because it's just the parts wanting to do good for us. It's just that they have a different idea of what good is, right? They want to keep us safe. So there is no such thing really as self-sabotage because, all these parts want the best for us. It's just that they do it in different ways. So that's why this approach is so amazing and so crucial. So I'm going to get to how to do it. But first, I want to say also what else we can use it for. So anytime that we have a limiting belief, we can say, okay, now I work with a part of me that has this belief, and then with the opposite part. Anytime we want to manifest something in our life, as I mentioned, and it's not manifesting, we can go into the part that wants to manifest it, and then the part that doesn't. Anytime that we have any kind of internal conflict, for example, addiction or some kind of habit that we can't quit, or we can start something, right? So one part of me who wants to, for example, continue smoking cigarettes, and one part of me who doesn't. And any kind of habit can be taken in this under this umbrella, let's say, because if I want to do something but then I don't do it, obviously there is a conflict between one and the other part in me, right? So one part wants to get shit done, one part still not doing. So how to do parts work, I will tell you briefly. And if you want to get to know it on a deeper level and also have some supportive journaling prompts and also a demonstration of how I did it on myself, because it's possible to do on yourself, you can buy my course, Emotion Alchemy Blueprint, that the link will be below in YouTube and Spotify, or you can find it on my website, karolinakuraj.com. Karolina with K and then KURAJ.com. I have all my courses there. But how to do it in a simple way, step by step. So if you're doing it on your own, you need an audio recorder or a video camera. And you need to set up 2 chairs or 2 sides of the bed or 2 sides of the sofa. And what you're going to do is you're going to say, sitting on the right chair, I take on the part of me that, for example, that wants a partner, right? And then I sit on this chair and I let this part of me come out while all the other parts of me go quiet. So I want to distill only this one part of my psyche who really desires a partner. And I can do it in different ways. So, for example, we can do it visually, where we imagine this part standing in front of us and embodying them, even if they show up symbolically as like a rabbit or a balloon or heart or whatever. We can become the symbol and then embody it. We can locate this part inside our body and then let it grow like a balloon so that we are all in it. We can embody the feeling that this part has. So, for example, this desire for a partner in this case, and just let it grow within us with every breath, so that all the other parts shut down and only this one part speaks out. And so it's very easy, it's very intuitive. We should just let go of the mind and let the body speak, and that will result in that part coming up. So we are, in a way, channeling our subconscious mind. We're becoming this one distilled part of our psyche right now. And then we let all the emotions, all the feelings, all the things come up and we express it. Of course, it's a bit easier if you do it with someone like me who can guide you through this process step by step. But if you do it on a video or audio by yourself, you can just write down the questions that you might ask yourself while you're in this position of channeling. You can also use the journal to write it down if you don't want to use the audio or video recorder. So you can embody the part and then start writing automatically as this part. And what you want to say is, how do you feel? What are your needs? What are your desires? What is your role for the person as a whole? So, for example, I would ask my part, what is your role for Karolina? And what do I need from this other part to feel safe or to build trust? Or what is the conflict between me and this other part, right? So when we know this part on a deeper level, we can also discover its name, or whether it's male or female, or kid or adult, or teenager, teenager. It could be also. So we can discover a lot of different aspects of this part, but the most important are the feelings, because they need to be released, emotional charge, as I spoke with in the last episode, right? And then the needs and the desires, so that we know where this conflict comes from. So, for example, if I want to manifest a partner, I can feel the desire and I feel like, I have everything that I need to do that. I am slim, I go to the gym, I'm, making myself beautiful, and yet still it's not manifesting. So I might feel powerless in this part. So then I'm just like really going through this powerlessness and releasing it, crying it out and feeling it fully in my body. And then expressing how much I desire to have a partnership. And then after I've expressed one part, I stand up, come back to all the parts of me, allow them to come back. And then I'm sitting on the other chair and say in my mind or aloud, sitting on the left chair, let's say, or left side of the sofa or whatever, I now become the opposite part of me, or I now become the part of me who doesn't want to manifest a part. And then I sit there, and again, I close my eyes and I allow this part to take over me, whether it's kinesthetically that we want to do it, locating this part somewhere in the body and let it grow, or visually imagining this part in front of us and becoming it, or maybe visually it shows up as some energy in our body and then spreading this energy. So we are becoming the other part and we are saying the exact same thing. How do I feel? What do I need? What do I desire? What are my boundaries? How did this other part piss me off? Who I am? Am I a man or a woman? And we discover as much as we can about this other part. And again, here we want to express the emotion. That's the most important thing. And in this case, it could be, for example, something like, okay, I don't want to manifest a partner because then I will lose my freedom and I will be responsible for the other person. I don't want that. So then we are going into this fear of losing freedom, releasing it from the body, and then really seeing how this part that didn't want a partnership feels about the part who does. And we want to resolve the conflict between them. We want to make them understand each other. So we can switch places between them as many times as we want until they understand each other fully and until they come up with some kind of win-win scenario. In this case, it would be nice to resolve this resistance of the part who doesn't want to manifest a partner, see where the resistance comes from, because it could be many different reasons. Like, I was hurt by men in the past, or by women, or they will leave me, they will hurt me, reject me, they will never be there, or I might end up as a single mom, or whatever. There could be a lot of different reasons why these parts are sabotaging us. But the bottom line is we're looking for a win-win for the integration, meaning one part agrees to something and the other part agrees to something. So in this case, once the emotional charge from the part who wants to manifest the partner and feels powerless is released, and then the part who doesn't want to and the fear of losing freedom and autonomy in relationship is released, then when they are neutral, they can be like, okay, what do we want to do about it now? And is this really true that I don't want a partner? From this part that actually already released the fear of losing freedom. And I know you might be thinking, oh, what if I don't feel this part of me and so on? You will. You just need to let go of the thinking mind, monkey mind, right, as we call it, and just allow your body to speak. Because everyone can do it. I've seen people who has never done any therapeutic work, between 20 and 70 years old, just go into it and do it. And, different approaches explain parts work in different way. Because in NLP, for example, the parts work is done in a way where you have one part on one hand, one part on the other, and then as they converse with each other, they kind of come close together, and their hands are the representation of it. But no matter how it's done, the point is to discover what these parts really need or really desire. Because, for example, if we have for Enneagram 3 men, a part of us who is an achiever and a leader and just wants to get shit done and, be so hardcore with all the achievements and ambition that they have. But then another part of them is an artist who just wants to create, who needs nothing on their calendar throughout the day so that they can be in their creative flow and for the inspiration to come. These parts might be in conflict. So then the part of the achiever might work for 14 hours a day, let's say 2 weeks straight. But then the part that is an artist might bring up a disease or depression, because then this is how the artist can meet the needs of not doing shit, right? If I'm sad or depressed, I'm kind of allowed or excused. I can just lay down in bed, do nothing. I don't have to get all this shit done, right? So if this conflict is not resolved, then the part will make you rest in an unhealthy way, meaning, for example, bringing up a disease. But if these parts are balanced, for example, 4 times a week, 4 days a week, I'm an achiever getting shit done, 3 days a week, I'm in my visionary artistic space, then there's zero problem and zero chronic fatigue or like ailments in the body or chronic stress or whatever like that, because both of the parts are fulfilled in their needs. Their needs are met. So the unhealthy ways of how these parts meet their needs are only coming up when they are not met in a healthy way, right? So it's quite self-explanatory. If you find a way to meet the needs of both of these parts in a healthy way, they will have zero reasons to manifest anything that is conflicting or anything that makes you feel shitty, because then they are both happy. And because they are both parts of you, right? You can't just please one and then just dismiss or bulldoze the other and still be happy and fulfilled. It's just not happening. So you need to always look for this win-win scenario and integration between them, because this is how you're going to release the conflict and you're going to feel so much lighter in your body, because not only you're going to release this emotional charge that they hold, but also there will be integration between them. They will become one at some point. So you're going to integrate your ego. You're going to bring more and more parts of you from your subconscious mind to your awareness, to your conscious mind, and integrate them as the whole, and affect your brain, of course, as I mentioned before, so that you can operate more from this whole brain state, so-called. I might talk about whole brain state further in the podcast. Now I'm not going to dig too much into it because this main theme now it's parts work. And so let's talk about the benefits of parts work. So as I said, it can be used to resolve a lot of issues, beliefs, and emotions, internal conflicts, and so on. But they can really help you work through every emotion and stop fearing the emotion, because usually there is one part of us that is emotional and then one part of us that resists it, right? So we can, for example, have part of us that is feeling ashamed, but then the part of us that is scared of feeling ashamed. So we can resolve this conflict and then release these emotions. We have better relationships when we do parts work, because how we can also use it is when I have a conflict with someone else, it means that this person reflects what I don't want to see or what I reject and disown in myself. So in order to resolve it, I can resolve it internally first, where I take one part of me that is exactly like this person, that is representative of this person and has the similar traits, and one part of me that I now identify it that is resisting them. So when I resolve this internal conflict, I will also accept and be completely neutral to people doing this thing externally. I will give you an example from my own life. So I resisted my father for a while for abandoning me in my childhood and giving me all these daddy issues, right? So I went into the part that is scared of abandonment that I normally identify with, right? So the part that I'm more familiar with. And then I discovered that the opposite part is the part that abandons. And it's more, if we look at attachment styles that I'm going to talk about in further podcasts, one part of me is more like anxiously attached, and one part of me is more avoidantly attached. So there was a part that was abandoned and the part that abandoned. And so I would resist my father for abandoning me, but actually, in the moment of trauma, one part of me abandoned the other part of me, because I copy pasted my father into me. So there was one part of me that was inner child that was abandoned, and one part of me that was my inner father who abandoned. So then, resolving the conflict between them, I was able to also forgive my father more, because I realized that I'm also like him. I have a part of me that is exactly like him. And so I stopped judging him for that and started understanding him, right? So the conflicts can be resolved internally. He had nothing to do with it. I didn't even speak to him about it, right? But internally, I stopped resisting him so much and was closer and closer to forgiveness, because I resolved it internally and understood it internally. So I hope you get it. Let me know if you have any questions. You can post it in the comments or text me at karolina@karolinakuraj.com. All the details are under Spotify and YouTube videos. And yeah, you can find me as The Connection Catalyst on YouTube and everywhere else as well. You can use my email, theconnectioncatalyst@gmail.com, if it's easier. But the point is, if you want to make progress in your life, you need to learn how to work with the parts of you who don't want that. And first, resolve the resistance and resolve the conflict, and only then take action on your goals, because otherwise, it's just like pulling against the string. It's just like really hard with all these different parts screaming at you that they don't want to do what you're meant to do, right? So by discovering the needs, the desires, the roles, the values, the conflicts that these parts have, we can live a more fulfilling life, more integrated life, because then all of us, all these quote unquote Siamese twins inside of us are completely fulfilled. If you want to learn it deeper and have some journaling prompts, as I mentioned, and some demo and some further information about this, I invite you to look at my Emotional Alchemy Blueprint course. I'll also post it beneath. And thank you so much for being here, for listening, and for your presence. I'm really, really grateful for you. I'm Karolina, the Connection Catalyst. And if you feel like you need my support, learn how to do it more properly, or my guidance, let me know and text me, and find me on karolinakuraj.com. Karolina with K? Kuraj. That's my surname. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day. And after you do parts work, please text me, send me a message or a comment how it worked for you. What did you discover about yourself? How it has helped you? Because really, truly for me, it's one of the modalities that I use the most. It's one of the most powerful ones that I found, because you really get to meet yourself on the deeper level, actually the deepest level, because it's all subconscious. So you're discovering things about yourself that you didn't know. that you need, that you desire, the boundaries that you didn't place, maybe that should be placed. So it's all subconscious mind work, which is so exciting because every time you do it, you discover more and new things about yourself, and you can understand yourself on the deepest possible level. So that's what I wish for you. Let me know how you're going with this, and see you or hear you in the next episode.